This NRA convention is being held just a couple of days after Uvalde, and there's a lot of controversy around that. If you look outside, you can see there's a large amount of protesters. Do you think there is a gun problem in the U.S.?
I think most of it is people they grow up without consequences, and then when there's not people around them counting on them for things, they don't see a reason to follow rules. A lot of people, wish we could just make all guns disappear. This isn't Australia. That's not going to happen. We have more guns than there are people. Even if we stop production of every type of firearm right now, they're never going to be gone. So it's not really an option that would work out.
Now, there may be people that say, well, assault rifles should be banned. The term assault rifles is very loose. You can assault somebody with any sort of rifle, but high-capacity magazines, maybe something over 10, which is something some people have said. What do you think of that?
I think most of those terms are the people that come up with those are people who don't really know anything about guns, because when they say high capacity, usually they're talking about 30 or anything over 10, when that's standard, and 10 is the neutered magazines. High capacity is usually 60 round, or drums and stuff, because even 40, you can get 40 round Magpul mags are pretty popular. That's not even really high capacity, because it's only 10 more than normal.
Now, what happened in Uvalde and even Buffalo, how do you think things like that can be prevented then?
I think there's definitely things we can do in schools. My wife's a teacher, and they have cops in the school, especially in elementary school. I don't know why the doors were unlocked. The kids aren't really going outside except for recess at a specific time every day. The doors should be locked from when school starts to when school ends.
One thing that Florida put in place after the Parkland shooting was raising the minimum age to buy a gun to 21. Do you think that is a good thing?
Not really. I think if 18-year-olds can go and die for the country, they should be able to come home and have a drink and buy a gun, on their own soil.
Well, thank you so much for your time. So, the NRA convention here in Houston is being held just a couple of days after what happened in Uvalde. Yes. And many people don't really like that. I mean, if you were to just look outside, you can see a large amount of protesters. Just a couple of days after the shooting, what do you think? Do you think there's anything that should be done to help decrease gun violence in the U.S.?
Well, for the first thing, most of the gun violence is not in schools. It's in the big cities where they don't have law enforcement support, where they don't have a justice system that keeps them behind bars. And the biggest problem is the breakdown in society. If you'll ask all of these criminals and perpetrators, they don't have a daddy. And that's the biggest problem. The father is not in the home to raise the kids with the mama. And I think if you find out, that's the difference of now and 100 years ago. And this lady is a professional interviewee.
Now, one thing that Florida has become a popular state for conservatives. Now, after the Parkland shooting, one thing they did was raise the age to buy a gun to 21. Do you think that's a good idea?
Well, what's your name?
Phoenix.
Well, Phoenix, in my generation, and you've heard the stories, you drove your trucks to the high school, and you'd probably see half the trucks with a shotgun or a .22 rifle in the back of them. Nobody cared. And you hear in the cities, back in that generation, that they could have a .22 rifle on the subway or the bus, and nobody cared. They didn't commit crime. It's not the guns. It's the perpetrator. And a perpetrator, if he wants to get a way to kill, he'll find a way. And the most cities with the most strict gun control have the highest crime rate.
Do you think having a gun, though, makes it easier to kill a large amount of people?
No.
And why is that?
So if you have an evil intent, a gun is just a tool. You didn't hear much news about the minority fellow that drove his automobile through the parade and killed about 10 people. You didn't hear about that. That was a tool. Well, I didn't hear about it. It didn't fit the media story correctly.
Let me go see if she remembers.
And Matt there, the photographer, he's a little older than you are, and he's seen some of this stuff, and he knows that people that follow the law, that are moral, and raise their children that way, that they usually turn out okay, and they don't see in the news like you. You've got a job, you're learning, you're trying, you're obeying the law. And that's why I admire and people like me are willing to talk to you, because we see that you're trying to do good.
Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you.